online safety bill, you say it's going to protect children. How?
Well, we've strengthened it for children. So everything that was in it before in relation to children, that means that if the content is illegal, it has to go. It means that if it's harmful but still legal, it has to go. And companies will face humongous fines if they breach these terms, up to 10% of their global turnover. The ways that we've strengthened it, that I've done, are we're making sure that they have to adhere to their age restrictions. We know they all set 13 as an age, but we don't that they don't enforce it. So you get 10-year-olds, 11-year-olds, 12-year-olds on those platforms. So what we say is they have to have mechanisms by which to stop kids younger going, like age assurance, age verification, etc. And they have to explain to the public and to parents how they're doing that in their terms and conditions. And again, if they fail to do that, they could face the sanctions. We're also saying that the regulator, Ofcom, has to work with the Children's Commissioner, so that children's voice is coming out. And when social media platforms do risk assessments into illegal content and harmful content, they also have to provide summaries publicly so that everybody knows, again, what they're saying, so that they can no longer be a closed shop. They can no longer be these nameless, faceless executives in Silicon Valley.
The online safety bill has been passed in the House of Lords. This means it will finally become law after it was delayed for 4 years. The bill will force social media platforms such as WhatsApp and Facebook to do more to protect users, especially children, from any material which could cause them harm. The Technology Secretary, Michelle Donnellan, said these plans will put the UK on course to be the safest place in the world to be online. However, there are some who are concerned that the plans could limit freedom of speech online. And to talk about this in more detail, I'm joined by James Mildred from CARE. Thank you, James, for joining me today.
Great to be with you.
So it's been a long wait, but are you happy that this has finally been passed?
Oh, we're delighted, absolutely. It has been a long wait, and in fact, longer even than 4 years. So there's a very specific part of the online safety bill that CARE has very actively campaigned for, which is the age verification on online pornography. So any user in time who wants to access online porn will have to prove that they are over 18. That applies to pornography on commercial porn sites like Pornhub, but also to pornography on social media platforms as well. And we were supposed to have part of that already operating in existence through the Digital Economy Act. That was passed by MPs and peers in 2017. But in 2019, the UK government just abandoned the age verification proposals to protect children from porn. And then they re-emerged in the online safety bill. So we're really, really pleased that the government have finally listened to the arguments that we've been making. More than that, we were able to work very closely with members of the House of Lords and members of the House of Commons in the latter stages of the bill to secure some really important last-minute changes to the age verification elements of this. So for that part, we are absolutely thrilled. I mean, look, I think the concerns about how this bill will impact freedom of expression online are legitimate. They need to be taken seriously. The bill is significantly better in that regard than it was when it was first published, thanks in part to the work we did behind the scenes and to other campaign groups as well. But we do need to carefully look at how the new regulator Ofcom enforces the online safety bill, and they'll be producing an action plan, and we look forward to engaging with them as they seek to fulfil their duty in upholding this law, making the internet a safer place for children especially.
Do you have any other concerns about this new legislation?
Look, I think one of the concerns that we will have is the fact that
there's probably going to be an 18-month period until age verification is actually properly implemented.
Now, we've been here before. The government passed a bill, MPs and peers pass a bill, then there's delay and delay and delay, and then it's just ditched altogether. So obviously we've got concerns based on that experience with the Digital Economy Act, that could happen again. And I think when you have a bill of this size and this complexity, I think you always need to scrutinise the implementation of it very carefully. And it may well be that in the early months and even the early years of implementation that we do get some cases where there are some issues with social media companies or with some tech companies until we start seeing the regulator issuing those big fines for tech company bosses, and until we actually see how it works in practice. There'll always be a bit of nervousness, but I mean, that's true of any new piece of legislation. So what was clear was the internet was like the Wild West. Children were being routinely and actively harmed by a whole variety of content that they were finding on there, not least pornography. So this bill moves us forward in protecting children better when it comes to the activities they're allowed to engage with online.
So what could this mean for social media bosses? What will be changed?
So the big thing here is that there's a new duty on social media companies to protect young people and users more generally from being harmed online. So the bill goes into great detail about what those harms could be. Social media companies are now under a much stronger obligation to remove harmful content and illegal content from their platforms. They have to root it out. They have to get rid of it. And if they don't, they face potentially massive fines, and tech bosses may also be put in jail as well if they refuse to comply. I think one of the things that they'll be looking for is clear guidance from the new regulator, Ofcom, to help them navigate this. But I think we all recognise, we've all seen stories of children who've been really badly damaged by cyberbullying, whether it's sexual exploitation online, that kind of thing. So it is important that social media bosses are held to account. I mean, I think for a long time, they've had a lot of power and a lot of freedom. And I think there's a recognition that as the internet has grown and given its all-pervasive presence in our lives, that the time had absolutely come to introduce some form of regulation. We're not alone in this. Other countries around the world are looking at similar kind of laws. The UK has taken a big step forward here. And I think from CARE's point of view especially, you know, the Lord Jesus Christ shows us the pattern that we're to follow. He welcomed little children. He warned his followers, don't put stumbling blocks in their way. All children are made in God's image, and in particular in the formative years, it's so important that we protect their young minds from accessing harmful content online. And the truth is, many of them will stumble across it accidentally, not even seeking it out. So this is going to put in place some clear barriers, which not a silver bullet. It's not going to solve the problem completely. It's a broken, fallen world, but it's a sign when politicians work together, when we as Christians engage in politics, that it is possible to secure meaningful, lasting, positive change. And our belief is that, particularly when it comes to protecting children from pornography, the Online Safety Bill represents a real step forward.
And what will this mean for the future? Are you confident that children and young people will now be much safer online?
Oh, definitely, yeah. I mean, look, I don't want to be naive about this. I understand that tech-savvy teenagers especially may find ways around age verification technology. But the truth is, age verification technology is improving all the time. And as each passing month, each passing year goes by, that technology gets better and better. And more than that, if children are coming across pornography at the age of 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and they're coming across it accidentally, then putting in place this barrier will stop a significant proportion of young people from accessing porn. Given that pornography then ends up shaping their understanding of sex and consent and relationships, it is right that we prevent them from accessing what is just vile, degrading content. And it seems to me that the next barrier now that we should be looking at is the porn industry is massive, it is incredibly rich, it has real power, it has real influence. It's an industry that fundamentally is about degrading human beings, about taking human beings and using them for sex and presenting it as entertainment. So it would be great to see a coalition effort of charities and the private sector, public sector, politicians as well, working together to say enough is enough. We do not want a completely unregulated pornography industry. This is a step forward, but there's more work to be done. So hopefully age verification is not a silver bullet. This bill is not a silver bullet, but the measures that are going to be implemented will help to protect children online to varying degrees, provided they are implemented and provided that the guidance from Ofcom is followed and Ofcom actually enforce the new duties that are being placed on social media companies especially.